The Denver Broncos 2022 draft recap. For them, they didn't have a first-round pick because of the trade for Russell Wilson. They didn't have a second-round pick because of the Russell Wilson trade. However, they had a back-end round 2 pick that they acquired from the LA Rams in the Von Miller trade to the Rams initially in 2021. The Broncos draft here, in my opinion, I was very excited about it. I thought they added some value to, some positions before they became needs for this Broncos team. Round 2, pick 64. The Broncos went with edge rusher Nick Bonito out of Oklahoma. And this is a guy that could do a little bit of everything. Play the edge rusher position. He could also be a spy for you if you need to drop him into the middle of the field for any reason. He's got that versatility to him. And when you have a pass rushing duo already that has Randy Gregory, who was a key free agent acquisition, and you have Bradley Chubb entering a major contract year for him. It's a prove-it year for Bradley Chubb. And you have a quantity of different guys at the edge rusher position, Jonathan Cooper, Malik Reed. Nick Bonito is going to be a guy that's going to come in and play an impact role right away here for this Broncos defense. I like that, but I know you, Tommy, when it comes to fantasy football, you also like their second pick in round 3 here, and it's a tight end out of UCLA and Greg Dulcich.
Yeah, I like the Greg Dulcich move. I don't think they necessarily needed that number 1 tight end on the team that you still have Albert Okwuegbunam. Like, this is the breakout year. I know he's like the favorite. Like, he's the most talked about sleeper. Like, everyone knows about Albert O. Like, we all know he's going to be good in this role. Like, he's taking that Noah Fant job. Can he progress and take that number 1 role? We'll find out. If not, you've got the next man up. And also, if they want to run a little more 12, like Greg Dulcich can do everything. He did all of it at UCLA, can work in line, can work also moved out into the slot. He brings a ton of range with him, good size, good length. He can win in contested situations. I loved this move. Like I said, it wasn't necessarily a need, but when you have a team that's ready to compete, you start adding a little bit more depth. Like I said, addressing problems before they become problems. I think Greg Dulcich was a great pick in the 3rd round. Wasn't the first tight end off the board. We saw Trey McBride go first, as expected. We saw Jelani Woods also go as well to the Indianapolis Colts, kind of that guy that just tore up the NFL Combine, reset the RAS standard with the perfect 10. Greg Dulcich was a great move. I know he was Daniel Jeremiah's number 1 tight end coming in off the board this year, so I think it was a great move. At number 80, give Russell Wilson more weapons. That's never a bad thing to do.
Never. I mean, for some reason, one thing that George Paton did ask Russell Wilson, he asked him a lot about some of these prospects in the pre-draft process, what he thought of them. And a lot of that feedback was useful for George Paton here. But, a couple of the underrated ones here for me, I'm going to focus on here is the round 4 selections. Damari Mathis, cornerback out of Pitt. He was an honorable mention all ACC cornerback for Pitt. He started and played in all 13 games in 2021. He redshirted in 2020 due to an injury he sustained in the preseason, but he's always been a consistent guy. And with the Broncos losing Bryce Callahan free agency, he signed with the Los Angeles Chargers. They did sign K'Wan Williams from the 49ers, but they're going to play a lot of dime, so they need another guy who could play in the slot. Well, good thing Damari Mathis, he could play on the outside. He could play on the inside in the slot as well. So the Broncos have a guy that will play and start on special teams immediately, but will also earn a way to compete for a role alongside Michael Ojemudia and Aseng Bassi inside that dime there for him. But
he's also
really
absurdly athletic. Like the guy, he's like 5'11", just under 2 and 43-inch vert, a 4.39 in the 40. Yeah, the dude can jump out of the gym and he can run with the best of them. Like if you're looking for like I said, that dime defender, like Mathis, you take the bet on the upside. I know you love RAS and all that stuff. You look at draft athletic guys. You can never go wrong when you just draft athletic dudes. Mathis absolutely fits that bill.
Well, the other pick I liked in round 4 was at 116, right after the Mathis pick. And this is the pick that the Broncos had envisioning in terms of replacing Shelby Harris, who they traded to Seattle for Russell Wilson here. And that is Iowa State's defensive lineman, Ioma Uwazurike. And look, the Broncos have the first team NFL All-Pro, hard to pronounce names on their roster between Albert O and Ioma Uwazurike. But for him, he can play the 5 tech. He can play a 4-eye. He can play the 3. He can do a lot of everything. And he's athletic on the interior, and he's very strong. So I think the Broncos have their replacement. He'll probably get the start opposite of Draymond Jones, and then you're going to have Mike Purcell and you're going to have DJ Jones, either one of those guys starting at that 0 or the 1 tech, primarily in the Broncos base defense. I like the value that Denver added there. And then just a little bit later on, some of the highlight on the back left guys there, Delarrin Turner-Yell, safety out of Oklahoma. So you reunite Nick Bonito with one of his teammates. That'll be good for the initiation process of getting accustomed to the NFL. At least you can go through it with somebody that you know there. But Montreal Washington, a wide receiver kick returner out of Sanford, could be a little bit of a wild card because the Broncos have struggled on special teams in the return game. And man, this is a guy that plays bigger than he is at 5'9" to 170 pounds. And, we saw a game against Florida for him. let's get this. He had 10 catches, 124 yards and a touchdown. He had one pass attempt, one completion for 16 yards. He had 3 rushing attempts for 19 yards and 1 touchdown. And then he also had 5 kick returns for 179 total yards and 1 touchdown, including a 98-yard kick return touchdown against Florida. And a lot of Florida players said, hey, that guy was the toughest guy we played against all season. So the Broncos had a little bit of a wild card there. And he can maybe play that backup role there. He can be what KJ Hamler is in this Broncos offense. If something happens with KJ Hamler, who's coming off of an ACL recovery, he can fit into that prototype as to what the Broncos want to do with KJ with a guy like Washington. So, Tommy, I was a big fan of the Broncos draft class this year. It's hard to get luxury picks in a sense when you don't have a first and a second round pick.
You do. You had a first and second round pick, and you drafted Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson was a great first and second round pick.
Pretty good first second round pick.
I think any team would take that has questions at quarterback. But Broncos country, let us know what you thought down below of the Denver Broncos 2022 draft class. Comment section down below. Smash that like button and that subscribe button here at Pro Football Network.